You are watching All Things Real Estate and More with Ann-Riley Caldwell, with a brand new episode on Investors and Coverage.
Hey, I'm Ann-Riley Caldwell. I'm back again to talk about all things real estate. I'm a realtor here in the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area, and I'm with Kevin Klingen of Klingen Insurance Group. And we've been talking about all kinds of insurance things related to home ownership and contents and all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh, fun stuff.
So investors. There are a lot of people out there who, some of them are long-time investors. I have a lot of people who come to me who want to get into investments for the very first time and figure out, how to rehab and flip houses and or maybe rehab them and keep them and rent them out for the longer term.
Yeah, so there's a lot of risk around that, and when I say risk, I'm not talking about get the risk of your investment. I'm talking about the liability risk there. So you've got multiple layers that need to be protected. When you're buying and you're remodeling and flipping a house, you don't have a tenant, so it's not an income producing house. And so as an investor, what you need to have is what's called a builder's risk policy. And so that does two things. It protects the dwelling as it is against fire and etc. It will then also protect against the liability of the people, not necessarily the people working there. We'll talk about that in a second, but the liability of people that come on that lot that aren't workers. So because in a construction site, it's more risky than a home in a neighborhood, because you've got nails sitting around, you've got boards, you've got churned up dirt, you've got open hole, you've got whatever. And so it's a little risky from a liability standpoint if somebody wanders into that and falls down the stairwell, for example. And so a builder's risk policy will have that. Will have that liability. It also will have a protection against the dwelling in case something happens during that time, and that will be based on the value of the dwelling at that time. So it's not. So if it is in the middle of rehab or reconstruction, then that's not going to be the full value that it will be when it's finished. So you don't need to cover it for that. You just cover it for what it's there. Another thing that you really want to have when you have a builder's risk is you want to have protection against theft. Because there will be times when lumber's left on the job site, when materials are left on the job site, and if those are stolen in the middle of the night, then you want to have protection against that as well. And depending upon where you are, that's going to fluctuate as to what that's going to cost. The other piece of that is going to be making sure that the contractors, the people that are working on the home, are covered. And they're covered from a liability standpoint or workers' compensation standpoint. Those are the two main things when you're looking there, because they need to have protection against somebody being injured while they're working on that structure. And that is not the investor's responsibility to cover that. It is the employer or the tradesman that is doing the work. It's their responsibility to cover their own injuries or the people that's working for them. And so if you are an investor and you are doing that, then you want to make sure that whether you have a general contractor or whatever, that you mandate that anybody working on that home is covered to a certain level for their own injuries and their own shortcomings, so that you protect yourself and you make sure that there's no lawsuits or anything that come your way. So that's that piece of it. Yeah, so it's kind of detailed. It's fun. It's a fun area to play in.
So again, things to look at, things to think about. So if you have questions, call Kevin about insurance. If you have real estate questions, call me and Riley, and we are here to help you in any way that we can.
We hope you enjoyed watching All Things Real Estate and More with Ann-Riley Caldwell. To learn more about Ann-Riley, or for your real estate needs, visit notyourordinaryagent.com or call 615-930-0313. Thanks for watching.